U.S. Central Command says it disabled another tanker yesterday after it reportedly tried to run the U.S. blockade. That comes as U.S. forces took a break from striking Iran itself last night for the first time in nearly 2 weeks. Steve Harrigan is live from Tel Aviv with the latest there. Steve.
John, for 13 nights in a row, U.S. forces targeted military positions inside Iran. Last night, quiet for the first time in those 2 weeks. President Trump has talked repeatedly over the last few days about consideration of a possible massive attack on Iran. But the president made sure to say all options for the U.S. still on the table.
Should we expect to see major strikes?
Look, we're talking to them right now. I think they're getting more and more serious as the days go by, for maybe the obvious reason. But we are talking to them right now. Look, there are two ways. I consider that the smarter way, but the other is probably the easier way, doing what we're doing. And we can take that to a much higher level if we want to. You know, we're prepared to do that, as you know. We're locked and loaded. We're locked and loaded and ready to go.
Things not completely quiet. Some military activity on the Gulf of Oman. A merchant ship tried to run the U.S. blockade of Iran's naval ports. It was warned 4 times and then disabled by the U.S. military. John, back to you.
All right, Steve Harrigan reporting from Tel Aviv. Steve, thank you. Meantime, the warfare in the Middle East is expanding. Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels are now trading missile attacks and airspace station chief in the Middle East. He's also a Fox News contributor. Dan, so why are the Houthis all of a sudden jumping into this battle?
Well, there's been a long-running war between the Houthis and Saudi Arabia. They fought a war back in 2015. It lasted off and on almost 7 years before hostilities ended. And, of course, viewers will remember that the United States took the fight to the Houthis last year for a couple of months and bombed their radar facilities, their drones, and their missiles arsenals as launch sites as well. But in this case, what Iran is trying to do is to use their proxy terrorists, the Houthis, to drive up the cost to the United States of prolonging the war. And Iran is doing this as part of their overall strategy, which has involved targeting Saudi Arabia with missiles and our other Gulf allies as well.
The president at that dinner last night was saying that that the Iranians are still considering some kind of peace negotiations. Here's what he had to say. Listen.
They'd love to make a deal. I don't think they're ready to. I don't think it's time yet, but I'm willing to listen. But they cannot have a nuclear weapon. We don't want to see Washington, D.C., or any of our cities, or Israel, or frankly, the Middle East, destroyed with a nuclear weapon, because I know the power of nuclear weapons. I see it. I get to see it. We're not going to let that happen. So this is all about we will not let them have a nuclear weapon. And they would use it.
But the president emphasized, I think President Trump has made it pretty clear that there's a diplomatic off-ramp if Iran would like to take it. That's, I think, why the president telegraphed our capability, if not our intention, of launching additional massive strikes on Iran, but we haven't followed through. I don't know that I see any evidence, and I haven't seen any to this point, that Iran is willing to negotiate in good faith. They've made the Strait of Hormuz the center of gravity for the war, and they're not interested in negotiating over their nuclear program or their ballistic missile and drone arsenals, as well as their support to proxy terrorists. And that's going to be the challenge that the Trump administration faces going forward.
The New York Times put together a piece based on American intelligence that suggests that, if anything, Iran is more eager now to pursue a nuclear weapon. The headline, Iran's new leader is more open to pursuing a nuclear weapon, U.S. intel says. And it reads, while American officials long asserted that Iran wanted to be capable of building a nuclear weapon, many believe Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's hesitancy was genuine. But U.S. intelligence agencies believe that Mojtaba Khamenei and the harder-line government that emerged after the United States and Israel killed many of Iran's previous leaders have ambitions to develop advanced nuclear weaponry. If that's the case, then, you know, bombing their nuclear sites and preventing that seems like it could be a worthwhile endeavor.
I think it has been a worthwhile endeavor. Look, Iran developed a ballistic missile capability which could a nuclear program, a weapons program. It was not for civilian use. They didn't need it for that. And that was the Trump administration's concern. That's why we deployed military forces to the region with an eye towards inducing Iran to negotiate in good faith, to get a better deal than JCPOA. Iran refused to do that, and in spite of the military strikes that we have leveled on Iran, they still haven't come to the negotiating table. So, John, you're right. If Iran doesn't negotiate, we will be faced with the option of continuing military strikes, but understanding that they may not result in negotiations in good faith on Iran's part, or just continuing to tear down and launch strikes on Iran's ballistic missiles and drones and the nuclear program and setting them back because Iran doesn't want to come to the negotiating table. That's going to be the choice for us, I think, going forward.
Back to the Houthis for just a second, because we have just a few left, but they are essentially doing Iran's bidding. They're trying to mess up the Middle East as much as they can because that's what Iran is telling them to do.
Yeah, that is the definition of a proxy terrorist. They are Iran's partners, and that's why they launched attacks on Israel after Israel took the fight to Hamas, when Hamas launched that brutal and barbaric attack on Israeli civilians on October 7 years ago. And I think that Iran knows that they get a lot of strategic depth out of using the Houthis to launch strikes on Iran's own enemies.
All right, Dan Hoffman, our Fox News contributor, formerly
Fox News, officially the Fox News Channel or FNC, is a prominent American multinational conservative news and political commentary television channel and digital media company based in New York City. Launched on October 7, 1996, it is owned by Fox Corporation and ranks as one of the most watched cable news networks in the United States. Key aspects of Fox News: programming format. Fox News operates a 24-hour broadcast schedule combining hard news reporting during daytime hours with prominent conservative political commentary, analysis, and talk shows during prime time, featuring hosts like Jesse Waters and Laura Ingraham. Political alignment. The network is widely recognized for its conservative editorial stance and frequently features perspectives favorable to the Republican Party and conservative policies. Digital and audio outlets. Beyond its primary cable television network, Fox News manages a heavily trafficked news website linked to foxnews.com, a streaming service, Fox Nation, radio broadcasts, and multiple daily podcasts such as the Fox News Rundown. If you are looking for specific information such as recent headlines, a particular show, or details regarding a specific event, please let me